My packages. White Mountain is a new one for me. How soft that is now. So that's great. So I'll just... Welcome back to Calendula's Garden. Today I'm excited to share what's going on in the garden in February. Today we'll kick things off by opening up a fantastic seed haul and talking about some of the varieties I'm especially looking forward to planting this season. Then we'll take a closer look at the seedlings that are already sprouting and showing promise. Finally, join me on a tour of our garden to see what's currently growing and thriving. Whether you're planting your own garden or simply here for some green inspiration, there's so much to explore. Let's get started. So what can we plant? We can plant our salad greens. So we have lettuce, arugulas, basils. You know I love basil. You saw how I froze and pureed them into oil and made cubes. Beets, bok choy, carrots, collards, corn, cucumbers, melons, mustard, that's gorgeous, and mustard, collards, you know you can get chard in there, peppers, spinach, we have squash. These small round ones are great if you want fast a fast harvest. All right, what else do we have? Sunflowers. So sunflowers, I see these growing all around when I go on those long drives in the back country, as well as pretty mixes. That silver leaf, Maximilian. Sunflowers, this one is a mammoth gray. Indeed, look at those seeds. And they always bring all the bees around. And I just wanted to try this. Edible flowers, I'm really into edible flowers this year. Tomatoes. Tomatillos. And I found that Roma style, paste style tomatoes do really well and are really delicious. They're really less liquid, so they condense the flavor of the tomato. And turnips. So here's one of my packages of seeds for the spring. See what we have. And I made it a point to stock up on my collard seeds because they did surprisingly well in our summer heat through the entire summer. Record heat. They and Swiss chard just held it down all summer. I was so impressed that I decided to go ahead and grab a number of different varieties so I can have as much diversity as possible. So purples did well. White Mountain is a new one for me. Yellows have been a favorite. They're so tender. Henpeck, very tasty. Nancy Malone purple. Whitley's. You get the point. And I also picked up some more mustard greens, which will do well. They won't do well in super high heat, but they will do good in the shade. More collards. Let's see. Sesame did really well. I experimented with those about 2 years ago, and it's just fun to get the little pods. It's interesting, but they do great, and they grow fast, and they love the heat. More calendula, of course. Collards, more collards. I did read this. I'm trying this one, Greasy Green, Big Daddy Greasy Green. It's supposed to do really well in the heat, and it stays sweet longer in the hot weather. And I wanted to try it for pickling, which should be interesting. I haven't pickled greens, collard greens at least, before. Collards, calendula, collards, champion, variegated. I just cooked some of these the other night. Pretty cool. Very tasty. It's just nice to mix it up. A large colors, and curly parsley. So I actually eat my parsley, and it's great in juices. All right, let's see what we have next. Ooh, this one should be interesting. Okay, so new chili pepper to try out. Papayas. My papayas did really well. I think I finally found their happy spot. There's only a few seeds in each one of these little packets. My minis did really well. Bitter melon, I'm excited to try that. So a number of different papayas, a few different peppers. So for my papaya, they do the best when they're direct sown, but we have birds that are very sweet but ravenous. So what I'm going to do is I bought these pods that should degrade in the soil. And what I will do is, so I did read that some people had issues with them drying out and then the plants being root bound. So when I plant them, I will soak them and then score the sides, as well as add drainage holes here, or even when I'm just propagating. And I did notice that they are peat free, so that's interesting. Great. All right. What else do we have? Oh, papayas. And that looks like pigeon pea. Perfect. Same. They usually like to be direct sown. They do best. And I have had that in the past when I was first starting. This is my pigeon peas were my first plants to go in there. It did really well. But now that we kind of have a habitat and lots of birds, when I direct sow, a lot of times they come up. Every now and then a few survive, but I want to be more intentional and make sure I know exactly where I want them to go. So again, they're going to go into the pots and then they'll go into the garden. Next up, boop. Oh. So this is a honeybee mix. This is adorable. I couldn't resist this. Little tin, that's such a great idea. These are from Echo. And this is actually where I first purchased my pigeon pea seeds. And it's always a nice blend of seeds, of different types of pigeon peas, which I prefer. You never know what's going to do best year to year. So here's our pigeon peas. Papaya, hibiscus, I always get from different sources just for genetic diversity. Brazil does well. Okra, more moringas. Mine did well and I have seeds, but again, look at this. Some more variety. Watermelon, cilantro, some beets, more salad mix, parsley, and collards. Old-timey blue. Look how pretty that is. I can't wait. I love this purple veining. All right, that is it for seeds. Let's have a look at our seedlings. All right, let's check on our seedlings that are growing indoors under lights. Well, so I'm using these compostable, another version of these compostable containers, or I should say biodegradable as well. So I have some of my small root vegetable seeds planted here, and I'm growing turnips and radishes. Same reason, for the birds, and I don't want to put netting all over the place. So you can see here, these work out really well. Let's see, I'm gonna pick one up so you can have a look. There you go, and we already have roots popping out, so it looks like I need to get these guys going pretty soon. The tops are pretty deceiving. And then we have a whole bunch more radishes up here. It looks like they're about ready to go too. And I'll show you what they look like when they get wet. They saturate really fast and then they get really soft. So I'll wait until I get them outside to go ahead and plant them. Here, see when I pick it up now, how soft that is now. So that's great. So I'll just score the tops. I have a feeling the part that bounds the plants is just at the top. It's thicker, this little rim. So I'm just cut these in probably 4 places before I plant them. And with these root crops, we all know the bulbs like right at the top there. And then up here, we have Chinese cabbage, chards, mustards. Up here we have some collards going. Looking healthy and happy. Ready to go. Boop. The microgreens were recently harvested. I'll show you what I did with them in a video coming up soon. With that, we'll head outside. Boop, boop, boop. See what we have that's already hardening off. So here's an empty version. So I just pop holes in the bottom. They don't come with holes, which is kind of odd, but easy enough. Got a little zealous there. Zealous. These are the little biodegradable trays. They don't take up much space, so I love them. And they weren't that expensive. All right. Also time for sweet potatoes. I just start them here just to see if the sweet potato is actually viable. Like this one took a while to get started, but it's going. And after this, they'll go into a larger container. Also have ginger. These are store-bought. These are what's up, bud? Store-bought ginger. And let's see. Also have some sugarcane cutting starting. I just want to thicken these up. A few more never hurt. And it's fun to make molasses at home, as well as the fresh juice. But the fresh juice doesn't last very long. Molasses you can use for quite a few things, including fertilizer. So that'll be a cool closed loop system. All right, and let's head outside. Yep. First up, we have our backup pea seedlings. They're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in some of the beds where a few plants didn't make it. It's a sugar daddy. And this is a dwarf sugar. We have a tray of cilantro. And onions. And I believe I did marbles for this round since now we're close to the end of our seeding season. So this is, marbles. And this one is a bunching. I like to use green onions a lot in cooking. And over here we have our garlic and Egyptian walking onions. And I believe this from the rounded tips are Egyptian walking onion. Let's see. Yep. So that'll be a cool perennial. They bloom at the tips and then falls down and roots. Pretty neat. Garlics coming up, ready to go in. And this is our aquaponics garlic. I don't know if they're a bulb. I've done this before at another house. And you'll get little small bulbs, but really I like using these for the very, very tender tops. And it's really cool in cooking. And you can like tie bundles. And you can see here they're a little yellow. I think it's time for more fish in the system. I need more nitrogen, which means fish poop. All right, so then we have our beets and Swiss chard. And this is more garlic, carrots starting, more parsley. And across the back here we have a whole bunch of celery that's ready to be potted up. A few fancy strawberries. Should just be interesting flowers, honestly. I have the bulk of my working, more prolific ones already out in the garden. And of course, more mustards. These are Asian mustards. Let's see if I have it here. Oh, green giant. And this one is koji. All right. And I have a large tray of arugula, which I don't think I'm going to transplant. I might transplant some of these, but I'm kind of liking the idea of just a big tray of baby greens. I cook with arugula. I like to use them wilted as well as in salads. This is actually pretty handy, just having them here on the patio. This is one of our 100-gallon grow bags. I have a mix of chard, flowers, scented geraniums, broccoli rab, and I really like these because it just gives me an extra space in the garden that's raised, and it's partially shaded by this guava tree that's already putting on a couple of fruit. This is a new 100-gallon grow bag, and it's part of our garden goal to grow more of our own food. And I just put these seedlings out a couple of days ago. Lots of peas and strawberries. And then we have our kind of our backup area for plants. Lots of edible flowers and herbs. And these I just like to keep in pots, especially this time of year, so I can keep them happy. Can manage their water so they don't have root rot, and the right amount of sun exposure. This includes mint, pansies, rosemary, lemon-scented eucalyptus, and here are some more sugarcane that I've broken up and I'm going to transplant to a new area to thicken up our privacy screen. And under our orange tree we put in some artichoke, snapdragons, and calendula, and more herbs. I'm really going heavy on flowers, and these are all edible. Snapdragons are one of the classics. Calendula are beautiful, bright orange flowers. And here I have a few more different colors of snapdragons, like this nice bright red. Here's a nice calendula flower growing in a grow bag with some alyssum and broccoli rab. I already harvested this center floret, and this is why I'm growing broccoli rab rather than a classical broccoli. Look at all these side shoots that will be ready to harvest soon. I just keep skimming. Last year I thought I would try my hand at some fancy varieties of sugarcane. This is a black sugarcane. I had a lot of luck with the fern leaf lavender, and you can tell that the bees really like them. And I also tried them as an edible flower in a salad, and they were delicious, I have to say. So I decided to mimic our salad grow bags, and I went with a few bags of broccoli rab. And this artichoke plant has come back 3 years in a row, so that's why we decided to plant more all around the yard, because it clearly does well. It's perennial, and it looks like it dies back in the summer, but it comes back every spring. And this is how I decided to organize my onions and garlic this year, so I can keep track of them. So each container has one type of onion in there. So we have, like, this is our garlic, and I gave it some strawberries, a salad, and an alyssum. And then these are shallots, French red. And the first one was walking onion. And it's interesting to see how they all come up different times. And this year it looks like our potatoes are doing pretty well, and they're off to a good start. I just topped these off with soil. And yeah, quite a few bags. I'm doing in succession, so they all weren't planted at the same time to see how many I could harvest. And it's like the yellows are now ready to be topped up with soil. They probably could have done a bit earlier, but I got really excited when they got fertilized. These guys are just getting going. And I have these plant racks on top of them to keep cats out of there. This Malabar spinach did really well, surprisingly, even through the frost, but it's also planted next to a large bamboo, which I believe protected it from cold weather. And here's one of our metal raised garden beds. Bok choy. It's my first time growing such classic florets there. As well as bunch of Tokyo mustard and baby kailan and tatsoi, which is one of my favorites for sauteing. I'm excited about dill this year. I managed to get it in at the right time, and it's flowering and it smells amazing. I've seen that a lot of butterflies actually like to feed on them, so I think I'm gonna put another round in of basil. For pollinators as well, it's a great companion plant. That's why I have it in here with the tomatoes and celery. And I was happy to see that some of the frost burnt tomatoes are actually coming back. Thank goodness my plan worked. And this is a big happy basil plant that brings all the bees to the yard. Cut back a lemongrass, and I recently added in these carrot seedlings. They seem to have taken, so that's great. I'll thin them out once I start seeing new growth. So young cuttings can be used in salads. They are kind of tasty, and if you don't like them, you can always just throw them in the compost. These tomatoes got hit pretty hard by the frost, but a few weeks later, we have a lot of new growth. I always avoid cutting them even more when there's damage like that, just to avoid traumatizing the plants even more or stressing them out. And it looks like calendula is loving it. It's throwing in new flowers. And then we have our beets seedlings that were recently transplanted. Our California poppies are huge this year. It's pretty neat. And I finally found a really good spot for a popcorn plant. Usually I have them die back every winter, and sometimes they don't make it. But against this wall, they look really happy. They get east facing, and then that wall holds a lot of heat and keeps them happy through the night. Papaya survived as well, and I'm so happy that we have flowers, lots and lots of flowers early, and hopefully some side shoots. So that will be super cool. And I have the seeds that you saw. Kind of add in a few more in that area. These are the collards I spoke of that made it through the summer in the ground, as well as some new ones that I've put in this other 100-gallon grow bag. I have 2 more after this I'll probably put in to give us more grow space. I think I'm going to try to go hard on sweet potatoes. I want to give them their own bag and see how they do this year. But the collards are doing great. I love the variety. And this is one of the pigeon peas that self-sowed, and the birds managed to miss, and it's already flowering. I'm very pleased with that. So it's definitely time for me to start my other pigeon peas. Well, this is a first. This is the earliest I've had mulberries. More collards next to rosemary that made it through the summer, and bamboo are already starting. So that's just a testament to our mild winter this year. I've noticed all over the yard we have a number of new bamboo shoots shooting up around our plants. So that's great. They'll green up. And these greens are in our second batch of raised garden beds. They have a northern exposure, so they're much cooler than the rest of the yard to get good shade in the afternoon. So I'm putting in, like, this is a wasabi arugula. Lots of the cool greens. I want to try and push these a little bit farther. So it's like celery. Oh my gosh. Gosh, the flowers are so much happier in this bed. They're a lot bigger and brighter. And I like how they're growing in with the parsley and the chard. That sugar cane against the wall there, so that should protect them from the heat. Cauliflower, kale is doing really well. I love this roughly version. And I am so pleased and amazed that I finally was able to grow the Savoy style cabbage in multiples. So pleased, they're so happy. And I have to fit them on the end. They're close together. I didn't want to break them up just in case I would damage the roots and kill them. So I'll just bend them and eat them if they're smaller, and then leave a few to grow large. And then this is that square foot gardening grow bag. So I've already put collards and kale and chard intermixed with the basil that's like struggling through the winter, but it's like it's already bouncing back. I love all the flowers. And then I left this so I could gather the seeds from, I believe it's the Okinawa spinach. I'll leave some to self-sow, and then I'm going to harvest the seeds. More kale and collards, and then again, here's some more of that frostbitten tomatoes. They're bouncing back as well. I just went ahead and cut the tops off and left them in their cages. And it seems like the spinach made it as well. Parsley and all my onions. I love green onions for cooking. I use them quite a bit. So I'm pretty happy. I hope you enjoyed this tour. I think it's actually starting to rain a bit, which is awesome. It's exactly what we needed. So hopefully some of my other wildflowers will start to sprout. So I hope you enjoyed this tour. Make sure to like and subscribe to see what else is going on, and we'll catch you next time. Happy gardening.